So, as many of you guys know, Rocket League is now free to play on the Epic Games Store, and this is a pretty big deal for the game. I really recommend you guys go and get it because it's a whole lot of fun and one of my favorite games. And for those of you who just recently got it, I wanted to make this video to help you guys improve and have a general idea of what you're doing when you're just starting out in the game. Here are 5 beginner's tips that will help you improve in Rocket League. Let's jump right in. Tip number 1. Set up your settings. The first thing you're going to want to do when you start up the game is to go to the options menu. There's a bunch of settings you should probably change and a few things you should decide on. Believe it or not, these settings can actually affect how you play. Let's take a look at the gameplay tab. I would recommend allowing all text chat but disabling the voice chat. The voice chat in this game is 100% broken. If you don't believe me, well, go try it out. Split screen layout and cross-platform play should stay how they are. Client send rate, server send rate, bandwidth limit, and input buffer you shouldn't really worry about, so just keep them how they are. Competitive ranked divisions and extra mode ranks should be on, so just leave them how they are. And the last 2 should just be left how they are unless you're in a different region than is listed. On to the camera tab. Here it gets a bit more complicated. First, you're probably going to want to turn the preset to custom and definitely turn off camera shake. Camera shake is a horrible setting that shakes the entire game whenever you hit the ball, score, or pretty much anything else. Trust me, you don't want to play with this on. But the camera settings in general are really up to you. These are mine, but honestly, you just do whatever fits you best. If you want, you can just look up a professional Rocket League player's camera settings and use those. For example, Squishy Muffins. Now let's go over the controls tab. I would recommend keeping all the dead zones and sensitivity settings how they are. If you want, you can always change them later. I would also recommend turning controller vibration off, but you do you. And really, everything else in this section should stay how it is. But, you might be asking, what about the view/change bindings option at the top? Well, here it gets even more complicated. There are many different key bindings you can use to play the game. As you progress through the game, you can change these settings, and you probably should at some point. For example, at some point you may want to change air roll and power slide to the left button or bumper, and maybe set air roll right to a button. But honestly, don't worry about it right now. Here are the bindings I use, but everybody is different. If you want to change anything, you can do so at any point. Once again, you can always look up a pro's key bindings. Now let's take a look at the interface tab. Pretty much put everything as I have it here. Unless you don't want metric or you're colorblind, it really just depends on your preferences. In the video section, this really just depends on your PC or console. I would set these up based on how you want it and whether or not your computer or console can handle it. But I would recommend at least turning motion blur and weather effects off. In the audio settings, this really just depends on your preferences once again. I personally don't like the game music setting on, but it's your choice. As for the chat, this really just depends on your preferences. If you didn't know, you can press buttons on your keyboard or controller to say certain phrases without having to type them. Which buttons are these, you ask? It tells you in your key bindings as well as right next to the quick chats. You might want to go through this and change it to your liking, but default is also good. As for the extras tab, you really don't need to worry about this. Once you set up everything to your liking, there are a few things you might want to do. Tip number 2. Explore the different areas of the game. The next thing you're going to want to do is go through all the different sections of the game. First, ever so often, the esports section will show up. Rocket League actually has a professional esports scene. It's really cool, the pros are amazing at the game, and I highly recommend you check it out. When you click on it, it will redirect you to the Twitch channel where it is being streamed live. Next is the play section. Here you can choose to play casual, competitive, also known as ranked, play tournaments, go into training, which we'll go over a bit later, extra modes including a hockey and basketball mode, and custom games, for example games with bots and private matches. It might be a good idea to practice the game with some bots before you hop right into ranked. The next tab is the item shop. Here you can buy featured items. They change a lot, so if you're interested in items, you can buy them here. Also, in the coming months, I'm going to try and get an Epic Creator Code. You can easily support me by using this code in the item shop. I'll let you know when I get that set up. Next is the Rocket Pass. Similar to the Battle Pass in Fortnite, you can pay money to receive items depending on your level in Rocket League. I personally think this is a waste of money, but if items are your thing, go ahead. Next is the Garage tab. Here you should make a few presets for the cars you like. You can also manage the items in your inventory here as well as your blueprints. Blueprints are basically items that can be unlocked once you pay the amount of credits needed to unlock them. The Profile tab is where you can look at stats about you as a player, look at replays you saved, create a club for your friends to play with, which is essentially a team, choose what banner you want to use, choose an avatar border, and more. Next is the Options tab, which we already went over, and Quit, which is pretty self-explanatory. As you can see, there are challenges as well. Here you can unlock items and more by completing certain challenges. The News tab shows you current news about updates and changes. Finally, the Friends tab. Here is where you can add and remove friends, invite people to parties, and more. If your friend is on another platform, you can add them by Rocket ID, don't worry. Now you're finally ready to jump into the game. Tip number 3. Free play. The first thing you're going to want to do once you set everything up and you know how to navigate the game is head over to Free Play. Here, get a feel for your car. Learn how to drive, jump, flip, boost, air dribble, you'll learn that later. Learn the basics first. Don't try an aerial, don't try anything fancy, just learn to consistently hit the ball and to hit it with power and accuracy. That's all you want to do at first. Take it slow, don't zoom around the field and use tons of boost. And this game is really hard. It's going to take a lot of time to learn everything. Here's what my free play looks like. Yours should definitely not look like this yet, but this might give you an idea of what you should be doing. Train here constantly in order to improve. Tip number 4. Go through the tutorial and practice in custom training. Another thing you're going to want to do is head over to the training section once again and click on tutorial. Go through this and learn all the buttons and what they do. This is a really good way to improve. At first, you might want to go through it multiple times until you know how to do everything. There are also some other training options including striker, aerial, and goalie. If you're going to try them on the lowest difficulty level. Custom training is also a really good way to improve. Here you can make your own training packs and play other people's training packs as well. This is generally for more advanced players, so I wouldn't worry about this too much yet. But you should constantly be training and trying to improve using this section in order to get better. Tip number 5. Play the game. At this point, what you really need to do in order to improve is simply play the game. Practice, improve, it's going to be hard, but it's 100% worth it. This game is so fun. You can play it alone and you can play it with friends. I personally have over 800 hours in this game, and I'm still lacking in some areas. If you guys want people to help you out, come join my Discord server. There's a bunch of people there, including myself, that are happy to help you guys out. Remember, we can only help so many of you guys out at a time, but we would love to play with you. And if you guys practice and improve, you'll get better and it'll get progressively more fun. If you guys have any questions or concerns, let me know in the comment section below. I'm happy to help you guys out. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, it helps me out a ton, plus it's free. Help me reach 2,000 subscribers as fast as possible. We're making our way up there. Please check out my other videos, I have lots of content you may like. Check out my Discord server and my Twitch, and please support me on Patreon. Thanks to my patrons through Lord Mister, King Nocho, and Charles the Bold Action Man. Become a patron and support today. And I will see you guys in the next video.